I did have another question I thought we should get in there because we haven't really asked this question to anybody yet, and I think you might have a good answer. Is Braxton? Uh, we've been working on this project for a little bit now. It's really, we put a lot of work in terms of making connections in the community and finding out strategies that might be best at reducing violence. What's your hope for this project, the CURE-PDX project? Now that you've spent some time on this team, I mean, you're sort
Almost,
of one of the
almost
veterans.
24 months on
Yeah,
the team.
I was going to say you're one of the veterans on the team now, going back to the early days of this project. What do you think will be the legacy of this work that we're doing and that you're doing?
And as somebody who like literally had to spend hours on Zoom with Jesse, um, it has changed like a lot since since this whole idea started. I think that the goal though for me, like what makes me happy, and I think we're accomplishing it. Um, it's just the fact that we are able to be connected to this world of violence prevention in a way that we don't have to necessarily follow models that don't work, that we know don't work, which like everybody else who's working on violence prevention basically has to. We have the freedom to try new things, to implement things that we know work, to draw on community oversight, and to then give back to that community. Um, like I think that the successes of the project, while the goal is specifically like prevent violence, all of the things that we're doing like that goal, right, prevent violence, I think that the modern approach is to build community resiliency, to provide services, to make sure people like have enough money to do things so they don't have to steal shit, so people I mean things so they don't have to steal things, so that then they don't have to like then there's not an issue with the police and so on and so forth. I think that our um our approach to violence prevention is a step beyond that. It's not just the infrastructure services, the things that we already know work that people are resistant to. But it's also like, all right, so then if you're in a communication with, say, a close family member or somebody who you have to talk to on a regular basis, or somebody who might be a credible threat and you have access to, like, how do you then talk to them about this? Or if you're in a situation where it's not even about just violence, it's like something where it's a strong disagreement that could then become violent, we have tools where you can like you can talk that through. And I think that that communication aspect is super important. It's just the holistic way that this project approaches the violence prevention thing, on top of the very, I guess, modern, very not, we're not focused on models that don't work. And just as somebody who works with a lot of nonprofits and then subsequently has to be beholden to government agencies, there's a lot of models that don't work that are being implemented constantly. And so not having to do that is really nice. I also think that just because of how open this model is, and how not one size fits all, I want to say universal, how universal this could be applied. I feel like lessons could be taken from this project far after it's done, after like we're all dead. I think that people would still be able to learn from what we've been doing here. So it's a bit of a deviation from how the project originally started, but I consider what we're doing right now to be successful. I think that having the credible messengers, having or working towards different community leaders, and like different types of community leaders, and having all of them give us input on sort of how they're interacting with people that they know on this topic as well. I think that that's powerful. Like how, like what other groups could just be like doing this and have as much access to as many people as we do, and just be able to like send an email and have people take us seriously, you know? So I do consider our project successful right now, and I'm pretty proud of it.
That's wonderful. Yeah, that it is a cool thing we've landed on. I have one more question. It's kind of a more personal question. So speaking of these like credible messengers and community leaders, so I think of the team as being including yourself as being kind of unique in that as Brent has described, like people who are in it but not of it, right? Like everyone has their own committed ideological, theological perspective, right? But they have a unique relationship to that view and therefore to other people in that community. There is almost a sense of like detachment, or you had mentioned for yourself, kind of like being not as emotional as other people in certain spaces. And then this aspect of kind of like personal maturity or pragmatism, right? Willing to compromise, etc. So just for yourself, identifying, as you said earlier, as a hardcore leftist yourself, but having this kind of disposition, this unique disposition that you have, what do you attribute that to? Is it like how you grew up or how you were raised or just your inner work as a person? Like where did that come from for you?
Genetics, honestly. I don't think I did any inner work. I think I've not liked people since the day I popped out, and I have not tried to correct that since. I think I used to be like, yo, like, you should try to like go to more parties and like have. Now I'm like, I'm in bed by like 10, yo. I don't. And so I think that like, just not caring about what other people think and do is kind of just me as a person. I don't think that that's related to the project at all. I think that that's just how I act.